I have full faith in our intelligence agencies. President Donald Trump told reporters Tuesday, reading from a prepared statement. Mark Wilson, Getty Images. President Donald Trump attempted on Tuesday to clean up his disastrous press conference with Russian President Vladimir Putin, saying that he had misspoken when he said he saw no reason why Russia would have meddled in the 2016 election. The attempted walkback came after the White House endured 24 hours of criticism from all sides for Trump's appearance beside his Russian counterpart, during which he appeared to reject U.S. intelligence conclusions about Kremlin interference in the American democratic process. I have full faith in our intelligence agencies, Trump told reporters Tuesday, reading from a prepared statement. There is a need for some clarification. It should have been obvious, it ought to have been obvious. He added, in a key sentence in my remarks I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, and I thought it would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia, sort of a double negative. You can put that in and I think that probably clarifies things by itself. Trump had been asked directly at Monday's press conference in Helsinki, Finland, if he believed the American intelligence community's conclusion that Russia interfered in the election, or accepted Putin's repeated denial of any such involvement. Even for Trump, the series of reversals marks a chaotic period for the White House. My people came to me, Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats came to me and some others, they said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin, he just said it's not Russia, Trump said in Helsinki, standing next to Putin. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. I have confidence in both parties, he added. The about-face is Trump's latest after a week-long trip to Europe that troubled international allies and left Democrats and Republicans on their heels. After appearing to threaten to pull out of NATO on Thursday, Trump then took the stage to praise the organization and declare it a fine-tuned machine. That night, as Trump enjoyed a formal dinner hosted by Prime Minister Theresa May, the British newspaper The Sun published an interview in which Trump was harshly critical of May's handling of Brexit negotiations and suggested her rival Boris Johnson would do better. The next day, Trump declared that he had not criticized May at all. Monday's joint press conference was a personal and national embarrassment, The Wall Street Journal. Even for Trump, who is notoriously prone to switching positions and delivering falsehoods, the series of reversals marked a chaotic period for the White House. Former President Barack Obama appeared to acknowledge the barrage of news in a speech in South Africa on Tuesday, saying that each day's news cycle is bringing more head-spinning and disturbing headlines. Earlier on Tuesday, Trump had defended his Putin meeting even as the criticisms piled up. While I had a great meeting with NATO, raising vast amounts of money, I had an even better meeting with Vladimir Putin of Russia. Sadly, it is not being reported that way. The fake news is going crazy, the president tweeted Tuesday. But approbation for Trump publicly siding with Putin over U.S. intelligence agencies on the question of whether Russia interfered in the 2016 election came from typically loyal quarters, including the editorial page of The Wall Street Journal. Monday's joint press conference was a personal and national embarrassment, the Journal editorial board wrote. On stage with the dictator whose election meddling has done so much harm to his presidency, Mr. Trump couldn't even bring himself to say he believed his own intelligence advisors like Dan Coats over the Russian strongman. Longtime Trump fundraiser and short-lived White House communications director Anthony Scaramucci told CNN on Tuesday that Trump needs to reverse course immediately. U.S. President Donald Trump and Russia's President Vladimir Putin, Alexei Nikolsky, AFP via Getty Images. Trump's made a very big mistake here, Scaramucci told anchor Alison Camerata. If you're loyal to the president, which I happen to be very loyal to the president, loyalty right now requires you to tell the truth and sit with him and explain to him the optics of the situation, why the optics are bad. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, a steadfast Trump supporter who recently published a book heaping praise on the president, and whose wife Callista is Trump's ambassador to the Vatican, called on the president to undo his comments. President Trump must clarify his statements in Helsinki on our intelligence system and Putin, Gingrich wrote on Twitter shortly after the press conference. It is the most serious mistake of his presidency and must be corrected immediately. With other Trump defenders, the most obvious sign of their discomfort was silence. CNN's Aaron Burnett said Monday that former National Security Council spokesman Michael Anton had canceled an appearance about Trump's meeting with Putin because he said he can't defend it. As of Tuesday morning, there were no media-bashing statements blasted out by Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, and no daily briefing scheduled to try to reset the narrative. Donald Trump Jr.'s usually combative Twitter account was largely subdued. Trump on Monday stood alongside Putin and called the two-hour-long talks that preceded the joint appearance direct, open, deeply productive, indicated that the U.S. is to blame for tensions between the two nations, avoided rebuking Putin for Russia's interference in the 2016 election, and even suggested the countries work together on cybersecurity. The news conference sparked an immediate outcry, including from many Republicans who escalated their criticism of Trump's coziness toward Putin. Arizona Senator John McCain pointedly called Trump's comments one of the most disgraceful performances by an American president in memory, while his fellow Arizonan Senator Jeff Flake called it shameful. Utah Republican Senator Orrin Hatch reasserted his support for intelligence conclusions about the 2016 election. Russia interfered in the 2016 election, he said in a statement. Our nation's top intelligence agencies all agree on that point. From the president on down, we must do everything in our power to protect our democracy by securing future elections from foreign influence and interference, regardless of what Vladimir Putin or any other Russian operative says. Trump himself at first remained defiant, thanking Senator Rand Paul, our Kentucky, for defending his comments. The Putin summit came days after Trump participated in the NATO summit and alienated U.S. allies by publicly slamming them and demanding that they dramatically increase their defense spending rather than relying on the U.S. to counter threats, including from Russia. I had a great meeting with NATO. They have paid $33 billion more and will pay hundreds of billions of dollars more in the future, only because of me, the president tweeted earlier on Tuesday. NATO was weak but now it is strong again, bad for Russia. The media only says I was rude to leaders, never mentions the money. NATO spending, however, has been going up since 2014, prior to Trump's first meeting with NATO in 2017. It is unclear where Trump got the $33 billion figure. The president has complained many times that the U.S. carries too much burden at NATO and has suggested that nations commit to spending 4% of their GDP on defense. The NATO summit began on a tense note when Trump declared that Germany is totally controlled by Russia, due to a controversial pipeline project between the two countries called Nord Stream 2. Rebecca Morin contributed reporting. Read this next. Steve Bannon ally thrown out of Nigel Farage radio studio. View comments.